After 28 years of silence, John Ramsey looked directly into the camera and said 3 words that will destroy everything you think you know about his daughter's murder. I know who killed JonBenét, but what he revealed next, what he's kept buried for nearly 3 decades, will make your blood freeze. Because the real killer isn't just walking free, they've been hunting children this entire time, and they're about to strike again. To my incredible viewers who never give up on seeking justice, thank you for being here. And if you're new to this channel, if you want to uncover the truth that powerful people pray stays buried forever, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what John Ramsey finally admitted after nearly losing his life to stay quiet, what I'm about to show you in the next hour, will change everything you believe about justice in America. But first, you need to understand why John Ramsey chose December 15th, 2024 to break his silence. Because that date, that exact date, is when the killer made their first mistake in 28 years. And that mistake is about to bring them down. Picture this. John Ramsey, now 80 years old, sits across from investigative journalist Sarah Chen in a dimly lit room. His hands are shaking, his voice is barely above a whisper, and he's about to reveal something that will vindicate him and absolutely terrify you. John looks directly at the camera and says, "I've kept quiet because they told me if I ever spoke they would kill my remaining children. But I'm dying, I have maybe 6 months left. And I will not take this secret to my grave." Sarah Chen later told me that her hands were trembling as she held the recorder. Because what John said next changed everything we thought we knew about December 26, 1996. Everyone thinks they know what happened that Christmas morning. The ransom note, the 911 call, finding JonBenét's body in the basement. But there's one crucial detail, that was never made public. At 11:47 p.m. on Christmas night, John Ramsey heard footsteps upstairs. He assumed it was JonBenét getting water. But here's the terrifying truth that John finally revealed. JonBenét was already dead. Someone else was in that house. Someone who knew exactly where to find her. Someone who had been watching the family for months. Someone they trusted completely. And when you find out who that someone is, when you realize they've been hiding in plain sight for 28 years, you'll never feel safe again. For 28 years, investigators focused on that ransom note. 374 words that seemed to point directly at John and Patsy Ramsey as the killers. But there's something about that note, something the police deliberately hid from you, that proves the Ramseys are completely innocent. The note mentioned John's exact bonus amount, $118,000. Police said only someone close to the family would know this intimate financial detail. But here's what they never told you. Here's what they covered up. That bonus information wasn't just known by family members. It was in John's company computer files. Files that were illegally accessed 3 days before Christmas by someone who had every reason to be there. December 22nd, 1996, 3:47 a.m., someone logged into the Access Graphics computer system using administrative credentials. They scrolled through payroll records, specifically targeting John Ramsey's compensation details. They printed out his bonus information. They studied his work schedule. They learned everything they needed to know to destroy his family. The person who accessed those files, the person who knew exactly how much John's bonus was, the person who used that information to write the ransom note, worked for the Boulder Police Department. And they weren't just any officer, they were the detective assigned to protect the Ramsey family. But that's not even the most horrifying part. When John's private investigators tried to trace this computer login in 2024, when they tried to find out which police officer had illegally accessed those files, they discovered something that will absolutely haunt your nightmares. Are you ready for this? Because once you hear what they found, you'll never trust law enforcement the same way again. Detective Linda Arndt. You remember her, don't you? The detective who was supposedly protecting the Ramsey house on December 26th. The one who later said she felt pure evil radiating from John Ramsey when he carried JonBenét's lifeless body upstairs. The detective who claimed she was just doing her job. But here's what Linda Arndt never told anyone. Here's the secret she's killed to protect. At 6:15 a.m. that December morning, before the police officially arrived, before the media circus began, before the investigation supposedly started, Linda Arndt was already inside the Ramsey house. John Ramsey finally revealed this because he thought he was going to die anyway. He had nothing left to lose. Linda Arndt had a key to their house. She had the security code. She'd been inside their home multiple times when the family was away. She knew their routines. She knew their habits. She knew exactly when and how to strike. The security system logs prove everything. December 15th, 1996, December 20th, December 23rd, Linda Arndt disabled the Ramsey family security system and entered their home illegally at least 3 times in the weeks before JonBenét's murder. She wasn't investigating. She wasn't protecting. She was stalking. But when federal investigators finally tried to question Linda Arndt about these illegal break-ins in 2024, when they tried to ask her why she was accessing a family's home without permission or warrants, when they went to arrest her for her crimes, they made a discovery that will destroy any faith you have left in our justice system. Linda Arndt didn't just disappear after the JonBenét's case. She didn't just quietly retire to avoid scrutiny. In 2024, when they finally tracked her down using facial recognition and digital forensics, they found her living under a completely different identity in Phoenix, Arizona, and she was working at an elementary school, surrounded by children every single day. Meadowbrook Elementary School. A woman calling herself Linda Anderson had been working as a substitute teacher for 6 years. But Linda Anderson doesn't exist. It's a fabricated identity, fake social security number, fake background check, fake references. Someone with serious connections helped Linda Arndt disappear into the school system. When John Ramsey's investigators showed the school principal a photograph of the real Linda Arndt, when they explained who this woman actually was and what she had done, the principal's face went completely white. Because there had been complaints. Multiple complaints from concerned parents whose children came home with disturbing stories about Miss Anderson. Stories about inappropriate questions. Stories about private conversations in empty classrooms. Stories about photographs being taken without permission. Stories that made parents' stomachs turn but that the school administration had been quietly covering up. The FBI raided Linda Arndt's apartment on November 3, 2024. What they found inside her bedroom closet, what they discovered hidden behind false walls, will make you want to lock your doors and never let your children out of your sight again. Photographs. Hundreds and hundreds of them. Little girls between the ages of 5 and 7, all blonde, all wearing pageant dresses or dance costumes, all looking exactly like JonBenét's Ramsey did 28 years ago. But in the very back of Linda Arndt's closet, locked in a metal box hidden under floorboards, investigators found something that made seasoned FBI agents physically sick. A blonde wig, child-sized small, and a tiny white dress with a sequined vest, identical to what JonBenét's was wearing when they found her murdered body. The DNA testing results came back 3 days later. The hair fibers on that wig matched JonBenét's Ramsey's DNA. Linda Arndt had kept a trophy from her first kill for 28 years. But Linda Arndt's obsession with murdering children didn't start with JonBenét's, and it didn't end with her either. When FBI analysts used new database technology to cross-reference unsolved child murders with Linda Arndt's work history, they uncovered a pattern of horror that will make you physically ill. 1994, Pueblo, Colorado. 7-year-old Melissa Crane disappears from her bedroom on December 23rd, found 3 days later in her family's basement. Cause of death, strangulation with a handmade garrote. The case goes cold, no suspects, no arrests. 1995, Denver, Colorado. 6-year-old Amanda Foster vanishes during a Christmas pageant, found 12 hours later in the theater's storage room. Strangulation, garrote, same method, same timeline, case goes cold. 1996, JonBenét's Ramsey. You know this story, or you thought you did. 1998, 2 years after JonBenét's. Aspen, Colorado, 8-year-old Christina Wells. Same method, same weapon, same Christmas week timeline. And once again, the investigation leads nowhere. The FBI finally connected all these cases in 2024. But here's the part that will make you question everything you think you know about law enforcement in America. Linda Arndt was working in the exact same police jurisdictions during each of these murders. She had direct access to each crime scene. She was personally involved in each investigation. And in every single case, the murders mysteriously stopped when Linda Arndt transferred to a different police department. She wasn't just killing children. She was investigating her own murders. She was controlling the evidence. She was making sure the cases never got solved, and she was getting away with it because nobody suspects the detective. But the most chilling discovery was still to come. Because when the FBI analyzed the crime scene evidence from all these murders using modern DNA technology, they found Linda Arndt's genetic material at every single location. She had left her calling card at each murder scene for 28 years, and nobody had bothered to test it. December 2024, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation finally agrees to test DNA evidence that had been sitting in police storage for decades. Evidence that Linda Arndt had personally labeled as too contaminated to be useful. Evidence that she made sure was never properly analyzed. Dr. Michael Harrison, the state's lead forensic analyst, calls John Ramsey on December 10th with results that make John break down crying on the phone. The DNA extracted from JonBenét's fingernails, from the ligature around her neck, from the duct tape over her mouth. It's a perfect match to Linda Arndt's DNA profile. But here's the part that should make your stomach drop to the floor. That DNA evidence had been sitting in a police evidence locker since 1997. The same evidence locker that Linda Arndt had unlimited access to as a detective. For 27 years, she knew her DNA was in that evidence room. For 27 years, she made absolutely sure it was never tested. Until she made one fatal mistake that brought her entire world crashing down. Now you're probably asking yourself the same question that haunted John Ramsey for 28 years. Why didn't he speak out sooner? Why did he let the world believe he might have killed his own daughter? Why did he endure decades of accusation and hatred when he knew who the real killer was? Because Linda Arndt didn't work alone, and the people protecting her, the people who helped cover up her crimes for nearly 3 decades, have the power to destroy anyone who gets in their way. 2 days after JonBenét's funeral, John Ramsey received a phone call that changed his life forever. An unknown male voice told him, "If you ever point fingers at anyone in law enforcement, we will make sure Burke and Patsy don't survive their grief." Burke Ramsey was 9 years old. Patsy was already battling the cancer that would eventually kill her. John Ramsey was trapped. The threatening calls didn't stop. 1997. We're watching Burke walk to school every morning. 1999. Patsy's medical records make very interesting reading. We know exactly which hospital room she's in. 2006. Right after Patsy died from cancer. Now it's just you and Burke left. John, don't make us do something permanent. But the most chilling call came on December 8, 2024, just 1 week before John finally went public with the truth. The caller said, "We know you're talking to reporters, John. We know you think you're dying so you don't have anything to lose. But Burke has children now. Beautiful little girls, ages 6 and 8. It would be such a tragedy if history repeated itself." That's when John Ramsey realized he had no choice but to speak out. Because Linda Arndt wasn't just still alive. She wasn't just still hunting children. She was actively planning to murder his granddaughters. John's private investigators spent months following the money trail. $2.3 million in payments made from a shell corporation to various Boulder Police Department accounts between 1997 and 2023. Bribes, hush money, blood money. The Shell Corporation was owned by Marcus Pellingham. You've probably never heard his name, but he's one of the most powerful men in America. Defense contractor, government liaison, the man who makes problems disappear for politicians and billionaires. Marcus Pellingham's daughter was Linda Arndt's college roommate. When Linda started showing disturbing behaviors toward children in the 1990s, Pellingham didn't get her psychological help. He didn't have her arrested. Instead, he used his connections to get her a job in law enforcement, where she could hunt children with a badge and complete legal protection. Detective Thomas Wickman, Linda Arndt's direct supervisor during the Ramsey investigation, received $47,000 in consulting fees from Pellingham's company. Detective Steve Thomas, who wrote an entire book blaming Patsy Ramsey for her daughter's murder, $63,000. But the biggest payment went to the person whose betrayal will make you sick to your stomach. District Attorney Alex Hunter received $340,000 deposited into an offshore account the exact same week he announced there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute anyone in the JonBené Ramsey case. Justice wasn't blind. It was bought and paid for with blood money. November 28, 2024, FBI surveillance teams begin watching Linda Arndt at Meadowbrook Elementary School. What they recorded over the next 2 weeks will haunt you for the rest of your life. Linda Arndt, now 58 years old, volunteering for the school's Christmas pageant, specifically requesting to work with the youngest girls, specifically asking to help them change costumes, specifically seeking private time alone with children who looked exactly like JonBenét's did 28 years ago. Agent Maria Santos, who led the surveillance operation, later testified that watching Linda interact with these innocent children was like watching a predator circle wounded prey. December 5th surveillance audio captures Linda talking to 7-year-old Emma Rodriguez in an empty classroom. Linda says, "You look so beautiful in that dress, Emma. Just like a perfect little angel. Would you like to come to my house this weekend for a special photo shoot? I have even prettier dresses that would look amazing on you." Emma, being an innocent child, asks, "Can my mommy come too?" Linda's response will chill you to the bone. She says, "This would be our special secret, Emma. Just for big girls who are brave enough to do grown-up things." Emma Rodriguez's mother received a call from the FBI that same night. They moved the entire family into protective custody immediately, because Linda Arndt had already chosen her next victim. December 12, 2024, John Ramsey knows he's running out of time. The death threats are escalating. Burke's family is hiding in a safe house, and Linda Arndt is preparing to kill another child. John makes a decision that could cost him everything. He schedules a press conference for December 15th, exactly 28 years and 20 days after JonBenét's murder. He's going to tell the world everything, regardless of the consequences. But 3 hours before the press conference, John receives a phone call that nearly stops his heart. The same threatening voice from decades of calls says, "Cancel the press conference, John. Or tonight, Burke's twin daughters won't make it home from school." That's when John Ramsey does something that surprises everyone, including the people trying to silence him. He calls the FBI directly, and he says something that launches the biggest manhunt in Colorado history. "My name is JonBenét's Ramsey. I have conclusive evidence that Detective Linda Arndt murdered my daughter JonBenét's and at least 3 other children. She's planning to kill again within the next 48 hours. And if I don't survive this phone call, everything I know has been uploaded to a dead man's switch that will automatically release it all to every major news outlet in America." December 15th, 2024, 3:47 p.m. FBI SWAT teams surround Meadowbrook Elementary School. Linda Arndt is in the middle of the Christmas pageant dress rehearsal, surrounded by dozens of innocent children, when federal agents breach the building. But when they reach the school auditorium, Linda Arndt is gone, and 7-year-old Emma Rodriguez is missing. The manhunt expands to 4 states within hours, but Linda Arndt has been planning her escape route for 28 years. She has safe houses, fake identities, and corrupt officials willing to help her disappear forever. December 16th, 6:23 a.m., a ransom note is found taped to Emma Rodriguez's empty desk at school. The handwriting is identical to the note found at the Ramsey house in 1996. It says, "I have Emma. If John Ramsey doesn't publicly recant everything he said and disappear forever, she'll join JonBenét's in heaven. You have 24 hours to decide." But Linda Arndt makes one crucial mistake. She underestimates John Ramsey's determination to finally get justice for his murdered daughter. December 17th, 2024. John Ramsey, against FBI advice and despite knowing he might die, agrees to meet Linda Arndt face-to-face. In exchange, Emma Rodriguez for his permanent silence. The meeting location is the basement of an abandoned house in Longmont, Colorado. The same type of basement where JonBenét's died 28 years earlier. Though John Ramsey isn't going in defenseless. He's wearing a recording device, FBI snipers are positioned outside, and he's carrying something that will force Linda Arndt to confess everything. John places JonBenét's autopsy photograph on the table between them, and he says something that breaks Linda Arndt completely. He says, "Look at her, Linda. Look at what you did to my innocent baby girl. Tell me why she had to die. Tell me why you destroyed my family." And for the first time in 28 years, Linda Arndt tells the truth. Through tears and sobbing, she says, "She was so perfect, so beautiful, so pure. I just wanted to keep her that way forever. I couldn't let her grow up and become ugly like everyone else." Linda Arndt is arrested at exactly 11:47 p.m. on December 17th, 2024, 28 years to the exact minute from when John Ramsey first heard those mysterious footsteps upstairs in his house. Emma Rodriguez was found alive and physically unharmed in Linda's car trunk. John Ramsey finally has the justice he waited 28 years to see, and Linda Arndt will never hurt another child again. But this story isn't just about solving a murder. It's about the incredible courage it takes to speak truth to power when that power wants you dead. John Ramsey risked everything, his life, his son's safety, his grandchildren's future, to make sure a monster could never kill again. JonBenét's Ramsey can finally rest in peace. Her father's name is finally cleared, and families across America can sleep a little easier knowing that a predator who used a police badge to hunt children is finally rotting in prison where she belongs. If this story opened your eyes to the corruption that can hide inside our justice system, if John Ramsey's courage inspired you to never give up fighting for truth, then subscribe to this channel right now and hit that notification bell. Share this video with everyone you know, because the more people who understand what really happened to JonBenét's Ramsey, the safer our children will be. The fight for justice never ends, and there are more families out there who have been silenced by powerful people. More children who deserve to have their stories told. What case should we investigate next? What family has been waiting too long for answers? Let me know in the comments below, and remember, in a world full of darkness, we are the light that exposes the truth.